Okay, guys, we're live. Alrighty. Paul and I will start the show. Jason is not feeling well, but Jason promises to join us later in the show. And so, because, we love to have Jason's inside knowledge. And he watched a lot of football game last night. Maybe he got himself sick watching football all day yesterday.
Drinking Diet Mountain Dew by the gallon.
There you go. The only way to live. Okay, so before we get started, guys, let me remind you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Do it right now before you forget. Helps build the algorithm so that we can get this out there in more YouTube spaces. I've had people tell me that it is showing up when they search Iowa Hawkeyes, but not consistently. So, and I got a buddy out there who YouTube does show up on the Hawkeye line, and I don't want him to beat me. I want to beat him. I won't say his name. Anyway, yeah, and then please feel free to comment on anything, any questions at any time, even on the replay, because I always come back and answer the questions later. And I noticed that Jason did a couple times too. Yeah. Hi, Llama. Llama Power's back to torment Paul. All right. Yeah, Jason will be with us in a little bit. In case for those you entering now didn't hear, he'll be joining us soon. We hope. All right. We're here to talk about and recap the game that was yesterday, Illinois State. I gotta say that I didn't watch the first half until I watched the replay this morning. Because I was busy with the soccer game. But when I got home, I feel like I brought the team good luck because, the team was struggling and I was reading all these comments. I went to Facebook and, chat and everything, and everybody say, same old crap, same old junk, this is crap, and just, everybody was, I never saw so much negativity. And Jason always accused me of being a little negative too early, but I did say in our group chat with Paul here that I thought the offense was shit, but at the same time, I didn't even see it. And since watching the first half, I have a little bit of a different opinion. Some of the offensive stuff wasn't anybody's fault except for maybe a defense that was trying to stop the run and forcing us to pass quickly, and they had to get that ball out there very, very quickly because of that blitzing that they were doing and stacking the box was just, oh my gosh. And so they just had to get to the second half so they could make some adjustments, which they did. We got our own ball out there more quicker. We are more aggressive and everything. Hey guys, I forgot to tell you on the comments, we're going to spend a little less time on the comments tonight, but I'm going to kind of come back to them in a little bit. I mean, I will get behind a little bit, but we just kind of want to talk about what we saw last night. Paul did an excellent job of breaking down the game this morning, and I'd like Paul to talk a little bit about what he saw when he broke down that game. Go for it, Paul.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, if you're watching this, you probably watched the game yesterday. I really tried to kind of take it one play at a time this morning. And the first thing that really jumped out to me was Illinois State using the odd front. Coach Hack and I, we've talked about that a lot, about odd fronts kind of bothering what Iowa wants to do offensively. But so they're playing like a 3-4 type defense. So they pretty much, their base defense had 7 in the box at all time. And what they were doing was they were showing a lot of too high safety look when Iowa broke the huddle and gets to the line of scrimmage. And by the time the ball is snapped, they were bringing at least one more guy, a safety typically, into the box, especially on early downs. Sometimes both safeties were coming down, and they were kind of playing at that linebacker level. So it was almost like they were playing like a 3-6 defense, right? Like where they literally had like 6 linebackers out there. And then Iowa created their own issues with this, what like Coach Hack likes to call the phone booth. There were at least, and they had this in the second half too, but Iowa made some adjustments after halftime, but where they didn't have anybody spread wide. They might have had 2 tight ends, 1 running back. They might have had 2 receivers on the field, but those receivers were only 3 to 5 feet from the ends, from the tight ends, right? I mean, so everything was bunched up. And there were times where they might have had 2 tight ends, 1 on each side, and then 2 receivers, both on one side. And then what Illinois State was doing is they were playing a lot of zone. So they would have a cornerback up at the line of scrimmage, and they're just they just kind of muddied it up to, especially in the first half. Iowa's playing, 5 or 6 blockers up front against 8, 9 defenders, and it just couldn't get going.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, there was a couple of times Cade checked down to Kamari Moulton. One happened fairly early in the game. He checked it down, would have been maybe like a 2-yard gain. Moulton dropped it. Then there was a second time where, he threw it. Moulton had space. And, he was open. He had space, and it kind of just looked like Moulton looked up the field before he caught the football. So that there was 2 opportunities. And the biggest thing, and I said this in the chat, that 6-0 halftime score was actually a mirage, right? And Illinois State absolutely knew that it was. They might have said 6-0 on the scoreboard, but it could have been 20 or 30 to nothing. When you start to factor in turnovers, almost turnovers, questionable penalties, just so many different things. And then right before halftime, McNamara throws to Ortworth in the end zone. It was a tight window. It was kind of an NFL level grade of difficulty of pass and catch. But, he did get 2 hands on it. At the very least, at a bare minimum, it could have should have been at least 10-0 going into halftime. Bare
minimum. Yeah. I mean, we had the punt return taken off the board from a score. Boy, that was a beautiful thing. Listening to Dolph call it on the radio, though, as I was driving home from the soccer field to my house, and he's calling off that numbers, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, touchdown, Iowa. Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful thing to hear. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but and also Kate had a huge run that was taken back by a holding penalty. I believe we still scored on that drive anyway.
Yeah. Actually, I think on his nice scramble, it was a illegal procedure penalty.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
It was a 10. Yeah, it was for 10 yards. They gave us 10-yard penalty for it.
I want to say it was Ostringa was motioning out to the sideline, and he kind of turned up field before.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep. The thing is he can't turn up field even though he doesn't cross the line of scrimmage. I mean, come on, let's get let's stop being nitpicky.
Yeah, you can't motion forward or be in motion. You can. I think you can motion forward, but you have to be set before the ball is snapped, right? So, because you'll see that a lot with wide receivers. Maybe they go from one side of the field to the other, and then somebody has to be that end man on the line of scrimmage, or you're not an eligible receiver, or you don't have enough men on the line of scrimmage, and that becomes too many men in the backfield. So you can move forward, but you can't be in motion forward.
Okay, I get it. You think we're going to see a lot of that this year on because we're not used to doing motion, that maybe we get a little ahead of ourselves, do a little illegal procedure
It
in the
might have
motion.
just been a timing thing, right? Where as Ostrenga is in that motion toward the sideline, he probably is told, when you hit this mark, it could be the hash mark, could be whatever, that you're supposed to be turning it upfield, and the balls should have been snapped maybe at that point.
Yeah. So anyway, they were meant. Okay, Cody here talks about Cade getting the rust out, which he definitely had rust. I don't think there's anything about that. And then I think Brandon above him a little ways up said something about him playing timid until the second half. Do you think he was a little timid at all because he wasn't sure what he could do with his body yet, waiting for those first hits, that first run that he had to do? And
that could have played a role with it. Also, keep in mind, other than Lachey, I don't know if Cade McNamara had thrown a pass to any of those guys in live action.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh, that's true.
I mean, because Iowa was down their top two wide receivers. I mean, I don't know how much practice time. And again, practice is practice. So, I don't know how much 11 on 11 time Cade has had working with Jacob Gill and, Vanderzee, true freshman, who probably didn't even arrive in Iowa City, I would imagine, maybe until camp, right?
Yeah, right. No, he arrived in June, so he had a chance to take a look at that stuff.
Right.
Oh, stop it. Stop sending me pictures of your... Okay. I want to... Hang on for a second. I want to talk about the receiving here for a second. Okay. We only had two true wide receivers catch ball. Vanderzee, 5 catches for 66 yards, and Gill, 3 for 46 yards. Otherwise, we had 1, 2, 3 tight ends catch passes and 2 running backs catch passes.
It's good.
I mean, and I know I saw on your breakdown today, you felt like that the wide receiving room is deep and more talented than it had been for a while. But, what's going on with the other receivers? Why? I mean, of course, one was suspended and he'll be back, but
and Seth Anderson is a little dinged, but I think he'll probably be back next week.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, now that Gill and Vanderzee proved themselves, is it going to be tougher on Brown and Anderson to come back and catch balls?
No, I don't think so. Okay. And, I think that takes pressure off of them to feel like they have to be the guys, right? Like, they have to overperform, or, mm-hmm. And then, I mentioned this too, seeing those punt returns from Weechin, you have to believe we have some plays, some packages, some different things that we want to do to get him touches offensively. And we did none of that yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Looking back, I just realized something. Terrell Washington Jr. actually carried the ball once.
Yep. At the end of the game there, they ran him on a jet sweep type thing.
Okay. All right.
And I was just going to bring that up too, that again, they did it in garbage time, with Sullivan playing quarterback. So maybe that's, and that could be a great thing in that I think Coach Hack had talked about that they wanted to have some packages for Sullivan and use his athleticism. And so,
Are you surprised that we didn't see any of Sullivan yesterday until the very last drive, which honestly he didn't pass. He handed the ball off, which, like we said, we performed very well. And Max White broke that one I thought was going for a touchdown, but
Yeah, I mean,
it didn't get there.
they probably, how about this? Had some of the plays in the first half come to fruition, or the Weechin punt return touchdown, the Ortworth drop touchdown. If we were able to convert one of the 2 turnovers into a touchdown, and they almost had a third, they muffed a punt, and it just miraculously, there's 4 Iowa guys there, and their guy, got the ball back. Otherwise, we'd have had them in point blank position again.
I was watching that on replay, and I was wondering how our guys didn't come up with the ball, but the ball miraculously took a bounce right underneath the guy who muffed the punt.
Yeah.
And so he was able to fall straight on top of it before the Iowa guys could get their hands on it.
Right. And so, and there was another time where I think this was in the second half maybe, but, we had a strip sack that we had recovered, and they called our middle linebacker holding, and it was a really, really weak call. Again, I mean, it was one of those things where I think if that was a Big Ten game, they don't throw that flag. I didn't really see it.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing how many times it seemed like every time we had a big play, a flag was thrown. It's just like, and Kirk wasn't even in the game, so you can't say that they're trying to get Kirk back for last year.
Right. I mean, the game was 6-0 at halftime, but it could have easily been 24-0 at halftime. Like
right.
it was that dominate. And then in the second half, what happened was, the little things that, that didn't go Iowa's way in the first half started going their way in the second half.
Yeah, I followed Jason's live yesterday, the second half, his live on Twitter or YouTube or wherever he was doing it. But anyway, I was following it, but it was so funny because he was so far behind that I didn't realize it. And I'm coming out there and I'm, we were talking about them being in a telephone booth, and then all of a sudden they go wide, and and I started to type, "Hey, they've gone wide," and Jason finally says right after that, he goes, "Hey, look at that, they spread it out." And then once I was yelling touchdown, thinking Jason could hear me. I'm yelling touchdown, and Jason hadn't seen the touchdown yet.
That was definitely one of the kind of cool things is, Iowa brought out that phone booth positioning or whatever you want to call it so many times. But then I think it was on like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. All of a sudden they went from the phone booth to 5 wide and empty. And
that was my favorite play. If you were watching the show, Paul, and you saw me live, I got so excited on that.
Oh, he was going all over the place on that. Nice thing about it is we all saw it before he did because we were all way ahead of him.
They put Caleb all the way out wide.
Yep.
I mean, I love that play, what they did there. And it turned into a pass to the tight end, I believe. Correct. Or it might have been to Vander Zee, one of them over the middle. I don't know which one, because Vander Zee had that pass over the middle as well. But it was a first down. It turned out to be a very good play. I mean, I like it.
Oh, it was very exciting. Watching the second half, it was so fun for a change to watch us blow out a team, and just watch it, methodically, the plays, what's coming up next. Cade landing on his back as he floats one to Vander Zee in the end zone. We
got away with that yesterday. I don't think there's another team on our schedule.
That's the kind of stuff that like Georgia gets away with all the time because of talent.
Right.
What Cade knew is that he had a 6'5" receiver. Let's see what happens, and he chucked it up. That's a difference. I mean, if you watch, do you remember that 4th and 30 play Alabama had in the SEC championship game? All they had to do was, you don't remember that? And he just threw it up in a corner of the end zone, and their receiver came down with it. It was 4th down from the 30-yard line. It was 4th and goal. And he caught it. And that's how Alabama won that game. If that ball gets knocked down, Alabama loses that game. They don't win the championship.
Yeah.
Or the SEC championship.
Yeah. Well, I thought Van Der Zee made 2 fantastic catches because of his height, because he was able to out jump and everybody else and grab the ball.
That's going to be a huge difference, is you can't play him man-to-man with the short corner. You're not going to be able to put a 5'9" corner on him if we're smart. If K just chucks it up there, it's so different than basketball. Let him box out, let him do whatever, and bring it down. I mean, Van Der Zee gives us a receiver that, like I was saying, Georgia usually has, Alabama they usually have that 1 or 2 receivers that either kill you with speed or they just kill you with size and athletic ability. And I think Van Der Zee is that for us.
And to be a true freshman, right?
I know. That's huge. To be a true freshman at Iowa.
Right.
I want to say something. Today we got, speaking of 6'4" receivers, we got a commitment from another one, 6'4", 185 pounds, Terrence Smith. And so maybe things are starting in the receiving department, are starting to turn around for us.
Let's wait until he signs. In today's world, that's true. The last couple of years, I do not get excited anymore because I let myself get excited when we got a certain left tackle who.
You mean the one that's never not coming back?
Yeah, I
did. I left again.
Well, because his family. I mean, I understand. Like, he's dealing with a lot with just his mom, right? He has a helicopter mom, and every coach always hated her. I mean, so he's dealing with a lot between his girlfriend and his mom. But still, I let myself get excited when he came to Iowa. So now if they commit, sweet. Now let's let him sign on that piece of paper before I get excited.
True. I get it. I get it. And yeah.
And, getting back to yesterday's game, I know a lot of people want to. There's a lot of scar tissue from the last couple of years, whether it's from quarterback play or O-line play. The O-line didn't play badly, even in the first half. They were literally being outmanned. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. They were trying to, block 8 or 9 with 5, 6 guys. And there just wasn't.
I said that live, Paul. Yeah, I said that live. You're 100% right. When during the game, I said that live on the show, saying, I mean, the line's not playing bad, but they're literally. I actually gave Dean props on the show because if I remember right, in our pregame, Dean brought up them stacking the box and stopping a run. I was like, I don't think so, because I thought we'd run more spread, but we were in the phone booth a lot in the first half.
We were inviting it.
Yeah. And they were sending 9 guys, and then you could, some people I'm sure were blaming the offensive line, and it wasn't the O-line's fault. They can't block 9 guys with 6. I mean, you can't.
And on top of it, they were filling gaps and run blitzing on this.
They were run blitzing. Yep. That 4th and 2 down. They even ran blitz on 4th and 2. So, I mean, all that
had to break 2 tackles, and that was impressive. That might have been the run of the day. Even more impressive than Caleb's big touchdown because of what Kamari had to do.
Well, yeah. The long touchdown was he just had to cut back and go through the hole, right, and outrun everybody. On that 4th and 2, Moulton had to. He got hit. I think he got hit like a half yard behind the line of scrimmage, and then he had to keep going. So, it was – the first half was all the same. I mean, I legit wanted Brian back, right? So I was like, well, if at least Brian got open receivers. In the first half, K didn't have any open receivers. Like there was just the route tree was so weird. Like they were being covered regardless. It didn't matter if they were playing man, zone, whatever. It was like the receivers didn't understand what they were supposed to do. So, but then the second half, he stayed in the phone booth, but then he used more motion and he got out of the phone booth. Like being in the phone booth is fine if you're not in it every single play. And that play, like you brought up, where they were in the phone booth, but then they went 5 wide, right?
Right.
That just confuses the hell out of the defense. The defense is like, okay, well, what worked in the first half isn't going to work. So
yeah.
Lester, to me, I feel like he in some ways set this up for the second half because
I mean, yeah,
we kind of saw what they were doing when we were in that phone booth kind of offense, and we ended up using it against them. Is really what happened, because then all of a sudden what happened and what did we see in the second half that you didn't see in the first half to me was we're in the shotgun, the quick play action, right? We're showing what looks like a run and then boom, so we forced them into those positions.
That's why I left your guys' conversation. To be honest, I was on Terry's side last night, just to let you guys know, because what we saw in the second half really wasn't, because it started right away in the third quarter, right? It wasn't like they were wearing them down. It was the play calling was completely different. So that's why I stayed out of your guys' little thing you guys had going, because I was on Terry's side in that, but I was like, because to be honest, this game means nothing to me until next week. Right?
The Iowa State game.
What we saw in the second half could have happened in the first half if they would have just did it. But however, that's why I'm holding anything on Lester. I'm not going to say anything until this week when they go against that odd man front that Iowa always struggles with, right? If maybe Lester's one of those offensive coordinators, and I don't know this for sure. I did not study him that deeply as far as play calling, but maybe he is one of those OCs that uses the first half to set things up in the second half to piggyback off of what you were saying, Paul, is they probably God damn it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the other interesting thing to me too was that you mentioned that they could have done some of those things in the first half. The very much like on Caleb Johnson's 64-yard touchdown run, there is a mentality, coach, right? Where if you have a team that's stacking the box, you just need really to get one guy out of position, and then you're off to the races.
That's why a lot of high schools, they want to run that 4-4 defense, right? But when you run a 4-4 defense, if one guy's out of position, the guy's gone, right? And if your safety misses a play, if your safety gets out of position of 4-4 defense, that's where the big plays come from. So, yeah, the moment somebody gets out of position, when you have with what they were doing, right, they were bringing 9 guys to stop the run, and one guy got out of position, and Caleb cut back, and he was gone. But what I wanted to say earlier was Lester could be first half. Well, plus he knew how good the defense is, right? You're not going to want to do anything silly if you want to set some things up for the second half, if you know they're not going to score on your defense. So, but maybe if a team is putting pressure on our defense, like our defense is struggling, maybe the play call will be a little different because he'll have to put pressure on them, right? He won't be able to play it as safe. he won't be able to set up plays as well. I mean, his play calling was perfect in the second half, off of what he did in the first half. I was so mad at everything in the first half, but I didn't obviously know the second half game plan, right? Everything we saw could have been planned. We really don't know. Lester could have planned everything they did in the first half and see how his team reacted off of everything in the second half, right? It all could have just been him figuring out his players. And obviously, I feel like he did against Illinois State. This week, he may have to do a little bit more.
You weren't here yet, Coach, but we were talking, Dean and I, about how in the, especially in the first half, Cade was throwing to guys he had never thrown to in live action before, maybe Lachey. But outside of that, he had never thrown to Vanderzee before in a game. He had never thrown to, I'm not even sure he'd thrown to Ostrenga in a game. He hadn't thrown to any of those guys in live action. And so there could have been some.
I feel like he had 3 incompletions to Moulton, like in the flat.
And 2 of them were just straight drops.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. So, I mean, if you just take out those easy drops, I mean, technically, I think he was 24 of 31 because he hit Moulton in the hands all 3 times, and Moulton dropped him. One of them, he threw it too hard. Like, you would just want to turn and then just kind of play catch like we would in the backyard. You don't need to put zing on it when he's out in the flat. There was one time he threw it pretty hard, but the other 2 just were like, you just look at Moulton like, what the? Like, I thought you were starting because you had hands. No, I think you were starting because they just wanted to try you out while KJ, was in jail for a half.
And another one of his.
Well, did you notice that? I don't think Moulton got a carry in the second half, did he?
I don't think he got a carry, but he came in. Kelvin said it live because I hadn't seen him either, and I actually asked that. And Kelvin said he was in there on one of the touchdowns as a pass blocker, I believe.
Okay.
Like he stayed in they probably did like a play action, but he stayed in and blocked.
I think
he still played.
I think he was the running back when Cade threw that nice touchdown to Gill.
What? Sorry, Paul. What'd you say?
I think Moulton was the running back when Cade threw the 31-ish yard touchdown pass to Jacob Gill.
Okay.
My favorite play. Paul, were you in the show at all yesterday?
No, I pretty much stayed out of it.
Okay. That was my favorite pass play. I'm going to do a video on that for my channel. Did you notice, because you watched it again, did you notice how early he threw that ball when Gill was double covered, right? But he still knew, but from obviously practice or whatever, that if he put it over there, Gill was going to be the one to get there. He saw it from the start. Like he threw that ball so early, but he put air under it to give Gill time to get between the double team and to get there. I mean, that was my favorite throw of the day. I know everybody loves the one where he rolled to the left, got his shoulders square, and he threw a dime to the tight end after breaking tackles in the pocket. Which that was a great dime as well.
I don't know. My favorite's still the one where he ended up on his back and Vanderzee caught the ball for a touchdown.
To me, that's not my favorite, only because that's a backyard play. Like he was just falling back and just chucked it, right?
I know. I still loved it though. It was still because when was the last time we had a quarterback when was the last time we had a quarterback and a receiver who could hook up and do that?
Nate and ISM.
My actual favorite pass of the day was the incompletion to Ortworth, which could have been a touchdown right before halftime. Only because he put it in a spot where Ortworth had 2 hands on it. The defender kind of made a little bit of a play. I mean, it was an NFL window that Cade threw into.
Yeah. That'd be one of those ones where the announcer says he had both hands on it. He should have caught it.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Was that in the first? You said right before half?
Yeah, that's when that set up the field goal.
Yeah,
Oh,
The
okay.
second field goal.
I'll have to. Well, I'm gonna watch the game tomorrow. Hopefully, I feel better.
Okay.
So I can. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow, and then I'm gonna do a show with the highlights. I don't know if you'd want me to do it on your channel, Dean, or I'll just do it on mine.
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want to do, we can talk about it.
So we can show the highlights of the game, those plays that we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to discuss like some of the coverages, like how the motion changed the coverages. Like the second half was so much fun, football wise.
The tempo
Not
changed too.
like
I mean,
yeah, and it was
both.
fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun for me, just football wise, seeing what was going on Indiana State's defense with what we were doing, right? Just all the different things. It was just fun.
You got to love the fact that I think Iowa, we completed a pass to Lachey. This is like the first possession of the third quarter. We complete a nice pass to Lachey, gets us down 1st and goal at the 6, and Iowa goes hurry up. Like, I don't know what it was in that situation, if they didn't want to let Illinois State get different personnel on the field or
if it was just practice, right? Because that was a point in the game where they had the game well in hand.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it wasn't just, let's see what happens when we do this.
Well,
right.
I mean, it was still 6-0, right?
Oh, I thought it was 19-0.
It was 6-0. We complete the pass to Lachey. It gets us 1st and goal, and all of a sudden we go hurry up, and then we run the bootleg.
Yeah, and that's when he throws
Vanderzee
in the front of the end zone.
Yeah, and it was like the last time you saw Iowa go with any kind of tempo like that, it was to either QB sneak it or, you know what I mean? Like, it was just an interesting time for us to just, boom, we hit a play. Let's get up there and do it again.
Yeah. Okay, Kelvin says that Cade had the 23 as highest PFF score of all college football Saturday.
That's not bad.
I was wondering what the score actually was. I got him for 67% passing after he was sub 50 in the first half. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. And again, like Coach and I just talked about, he had a few legit drops that where, I mean, he threw balls that could have enhanced his stats even more.
Well, I think the one to Orthwith should have been caught.
So overall, I mean, like everybody else, when at halftime, I was sitting there kind of like, all right, this doesn't really look any different than it has. And I think what I was frustrated with was it looked like we wanted to play bully ball.
Well, that used to be Iowa's motor, what do you call it? Yeah. That's what they used to do. They were the bullies of the Big Ten.
Yeah, but Illinois State, it was obvious. They came into the game and said, look, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to throw the football. We are just adamant that, until you prove that you can complete a pass, we're just going to assume you're going to run on every down.
That was a huge part of the second half, is Cade started completing those passes, and it just threw Illinois State off guard because they were still coming out of halftime going, good job, boys. We're going to keep shutting them down, and hopefully we'll be able to do something on offense.
Yeah,
right?
They kept saying, they'll make a mistake. They'll make a mistake. And,
Cade will throw a pick or something. Like, they were fired up. And then Cade started completing those passes in the second half. He was 13 of 14 in the second half. Yeah. The only drop was Moulton or whatever, I think. Or
I remember that Moulton.
And they weren't in the flat. It wasn't a bunch of horizontal stuff, right? It wasn't a bunch of Greg Davis horizontal offense. It was there was vertical passing game.
It was almost all vertical, really. That's what made. I mean, he averaged 8 yards an attempt. When's the last time we averaged 8 yards an attempt? I mean,
I don't know when.
Probably the
Chuck
Middle
Long days.
Tennessee State game, maybe in 2019. That one where they scored 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Chad Lysico was on his podcast last night, and I think he was saying it was 2019, the last time we scored over 40 points. But Kelvin found a whole mess of them last night that were just recent.
Well, what about when we went to Maryland a couple years ago, played on a Friday night? Was that 2019?
That was 2021, I believe.
2021.
That was the year Iowa was supposed to get torched because Maryland was undefeated. Iowa actually went into that game as the underdog, and it might have been 2020. I don't remember. It was 2020 or 2021. But Iowa went into that game as the underdog, and everybody was picking against Iowa, saying that Maryland was going to get torched.
Mm-hmm.
Or Maryland was going to
torch Maryland. They had that Tupa Tala. I can't even say his name.
Tua, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't catch this, and I didn't hear anybody talk about it, but it said Kelvin says Colby was limping badly at the end of the game. Anybody got room confirmed on that?
I can ask. I'll find out a lot more tomorrow or Tuesday.
Okay. Also, too, can you guys when they kicked off to us the second half, because Caleb Johnson is our kickoff return specialist, and he only had one opportunity to do that, and so he, the ball went over his head in the end zone, so he didn't do anything with it. Did you see LeVar Woods as he was coming off the field? It was only about a 10-second clip, but he was just chewing his ass.
Hmm.
And I have no idea why. I don't know if he wanted him to catch it and run it out or what.
Somebody commented during the live that Woods was chewing on him, but I don't remember who commented and I don't remember who said it, but I personally didn't see it.
Yeah, it was really quick, because as you're watching the regular feed, as they're coming off, after they, go away from him after he lets the punt go over his head into the end zone.
How deep did it go in the end zone?
About halfway. I'm just wondering if he'd have backed up a step, if he could have caught it and
I don't know why
ran it out for. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what on earth would he be chewing him out for, unless he really wanted him to catch it and run it out.
Maybe his concern was that, especially for future, the ball didn't go that far into the end zone. It's a live ball, is it not? I mean, like if the kicking
team
were to get down there,
hits the end zone. The moment it lands in the end zone,
it's a touchback.
Yeah, it's a touchback.
Okay, I just
not in the NFL, but in college.
So okay, well, I thought maybe what he was saying is if you're not convinced that thing's gonna bounce out of the end zone, you've gotta. I don't know, maybe the. Okay.
I mean,
don't get me started on these NFL new kickoff rules because I think they're stupid.
Well, okay, yeah, what I just said, scratch it, because the new one is, I don't know what the rules are. It's dumb. I don't even know. It says landing zone when you watch a live game. Now, does the ball have to land there, or can they kick it through the end zone? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't like it.
And the kicking team cannot move until the team receiving the ball has actually touched it. That gives them a lot of space to run now.
Commented to heck why? Oh, so it was Kelvin that commented it to me. Okay.
Yeah,
I know somebody did. I didn't see it.
I don't think Kelvin actually commented. He said he saw it. Oh, okay. No, he saw it.
Said commented.
Yeah, he did. Okay, I had to reread his thing.
I wasn't making it up. He said
Sorry,
it.
Kelvin. Kelvin and I texted back and forth quite a bit last night, and got to give that guy props. He's dealing with his own health issues, and yet he's up there, following Hawkeye football and every podcast he can get his hands on, every video he can get his hands on.
Yeah,
and
him and I were texting as well.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I can promise you, even in a 40-0 win, Phil Parker will not be happy. Iowa gave up a couple of explosives yesterday. One of them was Nestor got beat on a deep ball, jump ball kind of situation.
Jump ball. That was when I thought we might give up the shutout.
Yeah.
Because that was when they started putting in the backups.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember that first thing Jason said, backups are in, there goes our shutout.
Yeah. Because Nestor it was just a jump ball.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys, but you guys can keep going. What I'm doing is I'm trying to look for that kick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
all right, no problem. Casey's just wanted to let us know about Terrence Smith. We did talk about that earlier in the podcast, Casey. But thank you for telling us in case we hadn't. And that's nice that we got him over Minnesota. Anytime we can beat Minnesota or Nebraska out for a recruit, I'll jump up and down for joy.
And I would imagine
go play the lottery. I literally went right to it.
If Terrence is the number 8 rated recruit in the state of Illinois, then Epinesa has to be higher than that, right? So
I would think Epinesa would be 1.
I don't know if he's the number 1, but he might be like top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Let's assume
we're cleaning up Illinois this year.
Right. I mean, for Iowa to go snag 2 top 10 prospects from the state of Illinois is that's a big deal.
Yeah, Kelvin says he's number 1.
Okay.
I don't. That does not make.
But I didn't. I just briefly saw it, but Nolan Hawkeye Anthony on his page this morning said he thought we have snagged 4 of the top 10.
This green screen stuff sucks.
Yeah, I know it does. You disappear every now and then.
But yeah, I'm seeing it. He's chewing on him, but I don't know why. The ball was kicked to the corner, and the ball just went out of bounds after it hit the end zone. Like, I legit don't know why he's being yelled at.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. When you look at it, it's just
yeah. I wonder, maybe was he late getting onto the field or something like that? I don't know. Did he have a responsibility? Was he supposed to be the guy that, counts? Yeah. Hey, there's 10 other guys out here, something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but nothing makes sense. But yeah, Woods was all over him. So
yeah. Here's to Coach Bud. Bud and his receiver that he got committed yesterday or today. Bud, this Bud's for you.
Yeah.
Well, Bud had time on his hands yesterday.
He did. But he couldn't talk to the recruit because he was officially suspended. That's why he had to wait till today to commit. So who actually hosted this guy when he was at the stadium yesterday? Not Budmeyer. Did you guys see that little funny thing going on where Mary supposedly sent a text message that said, "Hey, Kirk's falling asleep in the recliner. You can open it up now. Do whatever you want."
I shared it. I'm the one that shared it on your guys' page.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was funny. I thought that was funny. I enjoyed that.
No, that was hilarious. I followed her on Twitter right after that. When I saw that, I followed her on Twitter.
That's hilarious.
Because that was perfect.
It was.
He fell asleep in the recliner. Call what you want now.
Call what you want.
I don't care how tired Kirk is. He did not fall asleep in the recliner. He was probably taking notes, but he had to stand up to make sure that he got the penalties written on his knee.
Yeah. Obviously, we're kind of poking fun at Kirk's age a little bit here too, with him falling asleep in the recliner. But he still looks younger than Dion.
He looks younger than me, and he's older than I am.
But apparently, Dion has his own health issues. He's had some things happen to his feet. He's had toes cut off.
He has? Really?
Yeah. Dion's has. So I think that might be a part of his aging, because he does look like – it looks like he's been president for the last 8 years.
Just because he has a white beard, guys. You guys automatically think he's aging because he has a white beard.
I think it's more than his beard.
Okay.
You can see it like in his eyes and stuff. I mean, he looks
everything. Yeah. He does look like he's a lot older.
Yeah. I was actually surprised when Colorado lost that game this weekend or this on Thursday night. I was actually surprised that there wasn't more fireworks coming out of Dion, because I just thought he'd be really angry and going to let his offensive coach go, offensive line, whatever. His fault. I kept saying something about. I made a joke. I said, "Will the offensive coordinator even survive the game?"
Well, I mean, I think you meant defense. I mean, they passed for 500 yards. I mean, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So how can they pass for 500 yards and only score 19 points?
They did, but they won the game. So, I mean.
I thought Colorado lost. Didn't Colorado lose that game?
No, they won.
Oh, they did win. They did win. That's why there wasn't any fireworks coming out of Dion. I got it mixed up. Sorry.
They're
the ones that scored. They scored 20. The other team scored 19.
It seems like a good time.
And I knew Colorado won.
This seems like a good time to transition to our picks, since we're already talking about a game that I think was on the picks.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I went 5-3. Paul 4-4. Jason went 7-1. He was perfect until Hawaii couldn't figure out how to beat UCLA.
Hawaii was mediocrity.
Hawaii was way. Oh. No.
All right, let's just go over them. All right. Jason's the only one that got Penn State right, and that wasn't even a game. So I'm disappointed that I'm embarrassed that I picked West Virginia, thinking that would be a better game.
Well, this is another situation where there was weather, right? And man,
it was like a 2.5 hour delay, I was told.
Yeah, I mean that just kills your home field advantage.
Colorado scored 31, Dean.
Oh, okay. Then who am I thinking that? Oh, that was Minnesota that lost 20-19. There we go.
Probably,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we didn't put that game on here, but let's talk about the people who are in charge of the fireworks for the University of Minnesota, who actually thought that field goal counted and set off the fireworks.
Dean and I were talking about this, I think, just pre-show. And I was saying, boy, that game was delayed an hour because of weather. And then, at the end of the game comes, they miss the field goal, they fire off the fire. If you lived around that stadium, how pissed would you be that they're shooting out fireworks after a loss? It's like midnight. They didn't even win.
Yeah, but hey, that's PJ Fleck all over that one.
Yeah, and with one Big Ten game remaining tonight, Minnesota's the only Big Ten team to lose.
But they were the only Big Ten team to lose. But the play calling, it all made no sense. I want to say it was like a 47-yard field goal. They had 2 minutes left, and they just shut everything down, started running the ball, trying to stay in the middle of the field. I'm like, what are you guys doing? This is not a lock. Your kicker missed like a 30-some yarder earlier.
Well, what I thought was funny was
nothing made sense, but they were acting like it was a lock.
Yeah,
like,
the last person to run the ball, you would thought he would run it toward the middle of the field, but he ran it to the right of the field away. So he actually took them further away from the middle.
The whole deal was just weird. PJ flecked it. That's all I gotta say. PJ. His game day management is just awful.
Is he on the hot seat this year?
Oh, he's just terrible at it. There are so many coaches that are just terrible on game day. And people want to talk crap about Kirk, right? Mm-hmm. But he's a master on game day. You can say what you want about him. But on game day, when he has a lead, he knows what to do with it. I mean, he's only lost twice since 2015 with just an 8-point lead. Right. That means if he gets up 10-0, he's like, what is he, 76-2 or something? Yeah. When he has an 8-point lead. Yeah. So
if you take out the COVID year, when they didn't have enough games to do this, they haven't lost. I mean, they haven't gone under 8 wins in a season since
2015.
2015, yeah. Or 15, I thought that was our big year with the 12 wins.
It was. But the year before that, they only won 7. They got their butt spanked by Tennessee, remember?
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
I was there.
Yeah. Well, then you should know.
Happened right here in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah. So,
All right. Okay, let's move on. Okay.
Yeah.
Miami at Florida. Paul's the only one that picked Florida. And the only reason why I had picked Miami in this game, and I'm sure I don't know what Jason's reasoning was because everybody was picking them to be in the playoffs. So I figured they had something going, and nobody was picking Florida.
now I picked them because I thought they just had way too much speed, and it proved right.
Well,
Okay.
I took the Gators. The Swamp is a difficult place to play, but
Not when you have Graham Mertz as your freaking quarterback.
right.
How did he do? Anybody know how he did?
Terrible.
Not good.
And
I can't believe
Just
he's
like
still
he
playing
was at
football.
Wisconsin.
He's been around 100 years.
Iowa fans, they may be tired of going to Tampa and playing in the Outback Bowl. I guarantee you right now, if the Gators could find themselves to 6 or 7 wins, they would gladly take the Outback Bowl right now, because you see what's coming up on their horizon. I don't think they're going to get bowl eligible.
Okay. All righty. North Dakota at Iowa State. Paul, you picked North Dakota. Not sure why. You did explain it at the time, but I don't remember why.
Because he didn't want to go run in the street, remember?
Oh, yeah.
I think because I took the gate, we did the Gators, and I'm like, I felt dirty picking the Gators, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to pick the Gators and the Cyclones.
You said you had to go run naked down your street, have your neighbors all going, "What's Paul up? What's wrong with Paul?"
Yeah.
I think I said it would make me want to go play in traffic.
Yeah.
Anybody remember the final score of that North Dakota Iowa State game?
21-3.
Okay. All right. Okay. Then we had UCLA at Hawaii. Hawaii was in control of that game, even though it was close for most of the game. But for some reason, UCLA came out at the end.
Oh, we had the game. And for the first time, like Hawaii, they're beating a good team under Timmy Chang. Like, he took over a dumpster fire. What happened before him, because the coach just messed up. Anyway,
and so
they had the lead for 59 minutes of that game and lost it in the end, because they were on their run and shoot, but then they started doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I was trying to figure out the run and shoot. That's when I asked you to explain it to me a little bit.
I explained it to you good.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. You did. So doesn't that put more pressure on the quarterback to figure out where his wide receivers are going on the field if they got autonomy to do what they want?
It puts pressure on both, but you both have to read it right.
Yeah,
that's what makes it perfect, where the receiver and the quarterback have to know what the defense is doing. The quarterback is going to see exactly what the receiver sees, right? So as long as you figure out what you're going against, I mean, the run and shoot's unstoppable when they're on the same page.
Oh, okay. All right. And then we had Notre Dame at Texas A&M. I believe, I can't remember. I had the game on all night, but wasn't watching it close. I think it was Notre Dame won, but I think it was a close game throughout. Am I wrong?
I didn't even see.
It was a good game. Okay. Notre Dame won. A&M, I believe, had a chance to go down and take the lead, but they went for on 4th down and didn't get it.
Yeah. And I see Bostic didn't get in the game. He has no stats, so he apparently didn't play.
Have you noticed no wide receivers that left Iowa are doing anything? Like zero.
Well, what about Vines? Do you know? I was trying to find Vines earlier, and I couldn't find
Well, last I saw, it was in the 3rd quarter. Vines had 2 catches for 1 yard.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah. I did. I told Paul I finally found that.
Yeah. For Old Dominion.
I thought you said he finished the game with like 4 catches for 7 yards.
Let me look. Yeah. He had 4 catches for 7 yards for a 1.8 average.
So he must be their screen guy. Apparently he can't run routes, so they just give it to him at the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, on this Iowa one, we all picked Iowa, obviously, but interestingly enough, Paul came the closest on the score, 41-3. If it was 40-0, you came closest.
Well, I was 38-3,
You were
Right.
38-3, so you were pretty close too.
So you went 3 points higher. That's like playing The Price is Right, right there.
That's exactly what it, yeah. $1, Bob. $1.
Yeah, $1. $1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Let's just finish up a
we'll
little
take
bit
Gil.
about. Yeah,
Well,
Gil did good.
Kelvin-
Gil did a good job. Not bad. I think he had like more catches in one game last night than he had all season with Northwestern last year.
Well, because Northwestern has AJ Henning. They had a lot more. And even right now, I take AJ Henning the way he's playing.
But
But
Northwestern escaped.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did the same thing Iowa did as far as their play, but they did it for the whole game because they had to lead the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
But they were very vanilla with what they were doing. So,
Did you guys see that stadium they were playing in? That stadium that Northwestern played in yesterday?
Yeah. It's like
I thought it was kind of cool. It's kind of small and a little compact, but I thought it was cool.
Well,
especially when they got above it and you got the lake right there.
Yeah, it's 12,000 people.
Yeah, so they'll be playing there for the next 2
stadium.
seasons.
Said what? So is my high school stadium. 12,000 people.
Where at?
Here, Florida, Jacksonville.
You went to school in high school in Florida? Oh.
Okay, apparently Gil didn't have any stats last year because he redshirted so he could transfer out. So he must have made up his mind as soon as Fitzpatrick or Fitzgerald. What's his name? Fitzpatrick?
Well, I mean, he wasn't going to play a whole lot anyway. They have receivers. Well, they did last year, and they still have AJ Henning.
Yeah. So I know that you followed some of our quarterbacks last night, and I just want to know if you want to talk about any of them. I did find that Hill had 107 yards last night, so his night wasn't a total bust. He disappeared.
Good timing.
He had 107 yards. What was his passing? I stopped watching.
Well, this is just it. I couldn't find his actual stats. This came up in an article about the game that he had 107 yards.
Yeah, no, I mean it wasn't a very good 107 yards. Like he was, I mean he looked like he did in Iowa uniform. There was zero difference. Literally, he was throwing the ball 180 mile an hour. He was throwing it over here, over there. Like it. I mean, he's still a big boy. His best play of the night was a quarterback sneak. He gained like 4 yards on. So
well, he should, at his size, a quarterback sneak should automatically be about 5 yards.
But he couldn't do that at Iowa, remember?
No, at Iowa, he couldn't do nothing.
He struggled with the quarterback sneak. Apparently, he got that part figured out because this quarterback sneak for Utah Tech looked pretty good. But no, they run a goofy system. I mean, I don't know how he's going to do getting pulled out, put back in, pulled out, put back in.
And what about Deuce Hogan last night? You said he didn't start, but he was going to play.
He played. I sent you a video.
Okay.
No, he looks like I saw him in the summer at Iowa. Okay. He can't figure out the playbook there. He just looked lost. Like,
was he not putting in the work? Does he not want to put in the work?
Talent, I think the coach said he was going to start a month ago or whatever because they knew what talent he was, right?
They didn't realize he couldn't get the book down.
But didn't realize that football language just isn't for him. He just can't, for whatever reason, pick it up. So they put him in, but the offense was so bad with Hogan that they put the other guy. And the other guy was like 5 for 25 passing or whatever. The other guy was just awful.
So they don't have a real quarterback that can do anything. Too bad that with his talent, he can't. Anyhow, and that brings us to Petrus, who had a short night last night.
Yeah, I think Petrus was probably figuring out when he got hurt. Because he started, I mean, he looked good from the start. He just threw a couple picks, right? Then he threw a touchdown. But I just think, it's a new offense, right? He wasn't inaccurate. Like, he was very accurate.
I thought you said his stats from his first drive that ended in a pick, but he was like 6 of 7 or something with the only incompletion.
I want to say he was 4 of 5, but like for 60 yards. So like he drove them down the field, but then he threw a pick. And the second time, the very next pass, he was 4 for 5 because he was actually 6 for 6 passing with 2 interceptions. So his very next pass, the next drive was intercepted, and then he threw that touchdown pass, and then he got hurt. So here,
They're saying that it's
you.
just a mild sprain from what? Who told me that? Paul?
Okay, here you go. That
that
AWOD,
was.
I exaggerate a little bit, but that AWOD kid that Hogan can't beat out was 5 of 17 passing, 29%. 5 of 17 for 37 yards.
Even Deacon does better than that.
And
that's Deacon level bad.
I mean, Deuce came in and was 2 for 5 passing for 23 yards. But if you would have saw it, it looked goofy. You could just see he didn't know. He just didn't know what to like. He just looked confused. And that video I saw you was funny. He looked like, you ever seen the movie Unnecessary Roughness? Have you guys ever seen that? When the backup quarterback was running around going,
it's been a long time.
Blow the whistle, blow the whistle. Remember when he was saying that to the ref? Go back and watch that part. That was Deuce Hogan on one of the plays, and then he just chucked it backwards out of bounds. He was running around doing some goofy stuff, and then he just goes, phew. I was like, what the
hell? Yeah. Okay, guys. One other thing I want you guys to discuss real quick, and then we can get out of here. Pick out one Big Ten team that you thought overachieved or underachieved from what we thought they would in the preseason yesterday. You know, what you were impressed by, you know, and like maybe a player from the Big Ten that you were impressed with for week 1. Nothing to do with Iowa. Leave the Iowa players out. I picked Maryland as my surprise team, and I picked that. Was his name Dylan Raiola for the surprise player? Well, no, I guess he really wasn't surprised. People said he was going to do that, but I didn't know if that was true or not for a true freshman quarterback.
He's not. Okay, I mean, we can do with. Did you watch any of the game?
I had not.
Because that's another one of those games where UTEP is the worst team in the country, I think. Mm-hmm. I really do. They're awful. But if you saw some of you're talking about Cade's throw where he was falling back and just lobbed it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Dylan did that a few times. It was so funny. He threw a touchdown pass into the corner of the end zone where he just chucked it up. The receiver was double covered, and he came down with the ball. I mean, wow. So it was just another one of those. And Colorado's defense isn't good, which is coming up. So I don't count that game. He looked good. He's a true freshman. Mm-hmm. He knows how to get the kids in and out of huddle, right? It looked like an offense, unlike Hogan. So Hogan still can't do it.
Okay. But, is there any team or players that either one of you just kind of like, or you just kind of like, maybe it's week 1, they played Sisters of the Poor, so I don't want to judge them yet.
Wisconsin, they were not impressive. They won, but they're playing at night at Camp Randall, and I want to say that game it was a 1-score game in the fourth quarter.
Yes, it was, but didn't they win by a couple of scores?
I think they wound up getting like a trash time score to make it like 28-14, but I want to say it was,
that's what it was, 28-14. You're right.
It was like 21-14 with 2 minutes left or something.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah.
My turn?
Yep. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm just going to go with this one because I trashed this quarterback, and I was really shocked by how accurate he was. Illinois was my surprise team as far as their defense. Got a shutout against Eastern Illinois, but still. But Luke Altmaier, which I didn't think I didn't watch the game, so I don't know what style of throws he threw. but being 19 to 24, I did watch some of the game, and I mean he was on target. So I know he played against Eastern Illinois, but to have him hit the receivers like that,
Yeah.
um,
No, I was kind of watching
I
a little bit of that.
I watched it. What's that?
That was when I had my game in quad. That was the one I was watching the least, but I'd glance at it, and every time I would look at it, I thought, I'm glad they're not on our schedule this year.
Well, for the most part, they're a horizontal passing team. So last year, I believe his passing percentage was too good. Like it didn't show anything. Kind of like what Paul said about Cade with Iowa, because they went downfield with it, right? Mm-hmm. That's when your passing percentage really matters. If you're throwing 10 or 15 wide receiver screens or whatever to help your pass percentage, that doesn't really count as much. But he threw 4 touchdowns and 0 picks and had over 200 yards on 19 completions. He almost averaged 9 yards completion. So I don't think they probably ran a bunch of screens. They only threw it 24 times. But yeah, I mean, I'm only picking that because I trash Altmaier all the time.
Yeah, all right.
So I'll give him some love this time.
I think this is a good place to end it because I think not only do you
Paul
guys, I mean, but I think I'll let Paul talk here in a second. I think most people want to get to the USC game. Anyway, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, unless like a Wisconsin, if you're playing a directional school and you don't win that game by 30 plus points, and then in that case it could be an but I mean I'm not overly impressed if you go 26 for 30 against Eastern Southern Illinois School for the Deaf and Blind. It's just not.
I think what little bit I saw of Wisconsin and what I saw of Michigan State, and I saw most of the Michigan State game. I wasn't impressed with either one of them, and when I said that I thought we could beat Wisconsin, and I thought some of the preseason hype again, like last year, is a little too high for them. I didn't see anything yesterday that changed my mind, but maybe in the next game or two I'll see something.
Well, Paul, do you know who Wisconsin's quarterback is?
Off the top of my head, no, it's not.
He was Miami's quarterback the last couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Van Dyke. Van Dyke. So, and he struggled at Miami as well. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it depends. He had a great year 2 years ago with Miami, but then that's why he struggled. Then they brought in Cam Ward. Do you remember Tyler Van Dyke from a few years ago?
I don't remember Dick Van Dyke. So,
or his brother Jerry.
Right. Why wasn't Jerry on Coach?
I remember Jerry playing on Coach. The knockoff of Iowa football. Minnesota State. What were they called? Minnesota State. Anyway.
I don't remember, but my brain's messed up today. So
Screaming Eagles. I think it was like the Screaming Eagles.
Oh, you're right. It was Screaming
Eagles. Then he did he took over like an NFL team that was supposed to be like the Dolphins or something. I can't remember the fish they were representing.
It's been so long. I can't remember.
I used to love that show. That show was so fun. Anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, I think I appreciate you guys being on here. Thank you for being here tonight. Wednesday we'll do our pre Iowa State game, our preview game, and we'll do our new picks there. If you guys have any picks that you guys want me to add on there, just text them to me this week.
I'm going to see if I can find the Iowa State game from yesterday and see if I can.
Yeah. Brandon recommended that I watch the highlights, and he said don't get hurt watching them, so I'm going to go find the highlights somewhere.
Well, if you watch the highlights, you're going to see all the good stuff that's going to be like, oh, no. But no, the game, Iowa State started the game off really strong. Do you have YouTube TV?
I do.
I know you do, but do you have it, Paul?
I do.
So do you save all the college football?
I think so.
If you just go in the library, it should. I mean, I have it recording every college football game. So I just have it recording all NCAA football. I don't pick any teams.
Was Iowa State even on a channel I could watch yesterday? I don't
Iowa
remember seeing
State?
them in the lineup.
I believe I watched on regular TV. It could have been on ESPN Plus. I don't know, but I watched it. I swore it was on regular TV.
Because Cyclones have their own network.
Yeah, but you got to be in Iowa to watch it, like MediaCom 22 or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I
go to my in-laws to watch the Iowa State network.
Yeah, I looked on the TV schedule yesterday and I couldn't find that game for nothing. So that's okay. Alrighty.
It was on FS1.
Oh, I would have got that then.
Yeah.
I
So
somehow I missed it.
Yeah, it was on FS1. So if it recorded for you, Paul, there you go. It's in the library, hopefully.
Cool.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for going. We'll see you guys Wednesday night. Same channel, same time, same channel, same bat. Okay, whatever.
I'll be on time next time.
We'll see what we can do.
I'll feel better.
All right, thanks. Get yourselves well. Bye, guy.
Thank you. Bye, Terry. Bye, everybody.